Okay, so in video number 2, what we're going to do is add these detailed elements to the fur and color it. I'm going to do these pieces that are on the fur over here at the very end, but I am going to do his ears and these little pieces here first. So I'm going to just do it with the pen tool, and I am really not going to be exact. There's no need to be exact. I'm just going to kind of click and make loose versions of this. Kind of following along vaguely, making some curved lines, but I'm not going to worry about it hugely. Whoops. And I'm going to go through on the other side and do the same thing. Again, I'm being pretty loose. You can be as exact as you want to be, but it's certainly not necessary. Okay. And this is a quick little review. We're going to turn that black, so we're going to use the shape builder tool. Or what we want to do is, well, actually, we don't need to do any of that. We're just going to leave that for the time being. We're going to fill it in black at the end. These guys I'm going to also do with the shape builder tool. So, I'm sorry, I lied. I'm going to do it with the pen tool. So I'm going to click off that one. And on this one, why don't we just choose a black fill? It'll make it really easy in the end. We won't even have to use the paint bucket. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to do these. Also not being very exact about it. Whoops. Just making some little elements. And I'll do the ones on this side too. Whoops, haha. That's what happens when you forget to click off your path and start a new one. So I'm going to click off, go back with my pen, do the ones on this side. Command Z, remember, is your friend. It's the way to undo what you just did, which I often have to do because Illustrator is challenging sometimes. Doesn't always play well with others. All right, so I have some fur for him on those little edges. And now I am going to paint him. So I'm happy with what I did. And let's go through and paint. So save your work if you haven't already done so. And there's a really cool tool called the Live Paint tool, which Illustrator has. Like with everything with the tools, you need to select the paths you want to paint first, and we're going to just select the whole thing because we're going to paint the whole thing at once here. And I cheated. I set up my colors ahead of time, but if you want to paint him with your own choices of colors, that's fine. I will also give you the colors that are the ones that I chose to make it easy for you. It's kind of up to you. I've selected all the paths, and the live paint is under the shape builder. So if I click and hold on the shape builder tool, you'll see the live paint bucket tool. And if I go and I hover on this, you're going to get a message that says click to make a live paint group. You don't totally need to understand what that is now, except to know you should click. So click, oops, and it will make a live paint group. And it filled it black. That's not a problem. Maybe I'll just click up here, but you can change the colors later. You also want to go to Object and just, because we left a couple of little gaps, make sure that it can see the gap options. So go to Gap Options, and we're going to make sure that even in these places like over here where there's gaps, that it doesn't bleed. It's like having a hole in your paint bucket. We want to make sure that Illustrator leaves us plenty of room to have gaps. So we're going to go to Custom Gaps, and I'm going to change this to 0.25. That should cover you. and hit OK. Again, that was going to Object, Live Paint, Gap Options, and we went to Custom Gaps and increased it to 0.25 inches. And that just means that if there's a hole like there is over here, that it sees that as a closed hole and it doesn't pay attention to it. This is your fill color. So whatever the fill color is the color it's going to use to paint with. So if you click the little icons underneath and you choose black and white, that should set you up to start with the eyes. And so click that right now. And now with the white selected, we can just click on the eyeballs and bam, it's going to fill it in. Oh, I forgot the line between the eyeballs. I'll go do that later. I can double click it and go through and get the black color. And I'm going to do these ears. Click inside it and boom, it fills it in. It's like a coloring book. Now I'm going to go through and do the yellow. So I'm going to double click it. And I could go find the yellow. I'm going to actually give you the color yellow that I chose. So if you double click it, you can, if you want that same color yellow, fill in the RGB values. So for red, you would put in 254. For green, you'd put in 255. For blue, you'd put in 123 and hit OK. And I'm just going to click on the areas that are yellow, and it's going to just paint them for me. So again, the yellow values were 254, 255, 123. Now I'm going to do orange. So you can double click. You can choose your own orange, or you can do the one that I chose. So for the red, you'd put in 246, the green 168, and the blue 16, and hit OK. Now I'm going to click on all the places the orange is supposed to be, and it's just going to paint those for me. And now I'm going to do the pink nose. So for the pink nose, I'm double clicking, and my values for red were 248, for green 195, and for blue 191, and hit OK, and click the pink. And I told you, I realized I forgot a line. That's fine. I'm just going to go through with the pen tool and make a line from here to here. Oh, nope. It didn't work. Why didn't it work? Who knows? Here, I'll go through with the line tool and just draw it. Bam. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to make 2 ellipses for eyeballs. So for the ellipse, I want it to fill black and have a black stroke, and I'm just going to make an eyeball. And then I'm just going to go with my selection tool, click and drag that. I'm going to hit Shift so it drags it straight across, and hit Option so it makes a copy. And now I have another eyeball. So Garfield is looking pretty good. The only thing missing from Garfield, if I were to look at the original, are the fur stripes and the little doop-de-doops here for his whiskers. So save your work, and we're going to go through and do that, finish up with your coloring, and pause if you need to do that, and then come back. Okay, so the final thing we're going to do is play around with the paintbrush. The paintbrush is going to let us draw a little bit by hand. I'm going to click the paintbrush over here, and I'm just going to actually keep it pretty simple and make 3 dots for Garfield's whisker area. Now, you can keep this super simple if you want. You could just, I do not have a pen palette with me, but I could just draw some stripes if I want to, and just do it like that. I'm not going to, but if you want to keep it simple, you're like, I don't need it to be super complex, you can just do it by hand, and you would have a mouse. I'm not working with a mouse right now. Or you can look and experiment with some of the different paintbrushes. So here's the paintbrush tool, and here are the paintbrushes over here. It's halfway down, looks like a bin of paintbrushes. And I loaded some special paintbrush types on here. There's the basic shape, which will just do the basic line. And in this case, I think you can do that. You know, it is sort of a squiggly line kind of thing if you want to do it. Or you can load some special brushes. So up here on the top right, go down to Open Brush Library, and you'll see that actually, Illustrator has a bunch that it can load for you. And what I actually thought was kind of fun, it's up to you, is to go to, what did I do? I did Vector Packs, and I looked at the hand-drawn brushes. And it opens a special pack, and what I did is I chose this one in the middle as my brush. And now I'm just going to click and draw, and it does these squiggle brushes. And I'm painting a straight line. I am not squiggling, it's squiggling for me. It's a type of vector brush so that I'm not doing the squiggles. And I can go move these just like I would with the path tool. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to select them. You can do fractions. I'm going to make this one small, maybe 0.1, maybe 0.3. And I can move them around. So I'm going to move it closer to the fur edge. Same thing with this one. It needs to be a little smaller. So I'm going to type in 0.3. You can do fractions of a point. And I'm going to move it closer in. You can use your arrow tools to move things too. So that one looks fine. Same thing with this. I might move it closer to the edge. You can rotate them if you want to. I'm just moving it down so it sort of touches the edge of the drawing. And that's kind of the Garfield I wanted to draw. I think it reminds me of drawing it by hand when I was a kid. I'm going to rotate this one because it's kind of in the wrong direction. There we go. And I'm just moving it around. I'm using the arrow key. You certainly can just drag it. And there's my Garfield. Now, once you're done with doing it, oh, it looks weird that there's not a third one over here. All right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to my pen. I realize that if there's 3 on this side, there should be 3 on this side. So I'm going to draw another one and just go and move this one up a little bit so that it kind of matches with the other side a little bit more. There we go. All right. That's my Garfield. So now I'm done. You can do the lines, play with the brushes, do them as straight lines if you want. You can also mess around with, there's a couple of different things that you can do. So you play around, do the stripes the way that you want. When you're done, you're going to export it as a PNG. So we'll go to File, Export, and you can choose PNG from the drop-down and hit Export. And remember, all that white area that I didn't paint is going to be transparent, which is great. And we'll have the resolution be high so that it would look good in print, and hit OK. And it created the PNG for me, and that's what I'll hand in on Google Classroom. Now you've made your own Garfield. Enjoy.